catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
Well, good evening. Good evening. This is your girl, Crystal. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your patience. And we got a good one for you tonight. Welcome to Storytime. We are here where we connect with individuals' life experiences. On Storytime, it's all about connecting with human beings. And we ask you to take a moment to please like, share, and comment. And we're generally here 8 o'clock on Wednesday tonight. We started a couple of minutes behind, so thank you for your patience. And then we come back on Sundays at 9 p.m. So once again, we want to ask you to do a couple of things for us. Take a moment and share this with about 5 friends. If you will, we ask you to just share this with 5 friends. All right, it's free to do that. Okay. Tonight, our guest is none other than Mr. Travis Gales. Many of you know this face. He is a radio host in this Research Triangle area, has been for about 40 years. And he's what we call a digital media strategist. All right. With over 4 decades of experience in broadcasting music and audience engagement, he knows what he's doing. All right. He knows how to be a public radio voice that we've heard, how to blend the culture, how to tell stories, how to play music and have those conversations. And he's even gone a step further to even figure out what's going on with technology and AI and all those things. So we're going to have an interesting conversation with him about how the music industry is changing for disc jockeys, right? How AI is coming in and all the digital tools that are taking place. So this is going to be good for those of you who may be interested in getting started in the industry. All right. So Dip Back Travis Gales is a face that many of us have seen and many may recognize from the industry. He has done a few things and you've seen him in a lot of areas. Just to give you a glimpse and show you, I mean, you might have seen his face out there in the park. You might have seen him just recently in Durham Central Park because he's out there, y'all, every first Friday each month. From May to October, you're going to see this man's face. So make sure you put it on your calendar. And yes, you know him from WNCU 90.7 FM also, but he is the man, okay? Yeah, he's going to be out there, and he's always going to make sure that you get what you need for that jazz and everything too. But it's so much more that he's doing, but we just wanted to give you a glimpse, right? And we want to just remind you also with Storytime that we're broadening, right? We're broadening out to a lot of different places. You might see and hear us in a lot of places. So we're going to go into that a little further. So be on the lookout. Not to mention, we're proud to say we've also expanded to go to Roku also. So, man, so much going on. So let me just tell you a quick reminder. Hold on. All right, everybody. Are you ready? This is Crystal. I am so excited to have you here on Storytime. I want you to know that now you can be seen and heard. Yes, Storytime has expanded, and you will be able to see yourself streaming live on multiple platforms. So come on over and get with us and check it out. I want you to go ahead and schedule your interview, and you never know where they might find you online. So thank you. Get ready. That's it. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure we give a big round of applause for this man, for everything he has done for over 40 years out here. And we want you to help us welcome Mr. Travis Gales to the stage because he is here today. And you know that he is the man. So thank you so much. We're going to call him up. We're going to bring him up. The next thing you're going to see is going to be me and my guest as we come on here. Travis, how you doing?
Crystal, how you doing? It's a pleasure to be invited and a pleasure to be here with all your subscribers right here on the show. I've been patiently waiting when you called me back in March, and when you gave me the reminder, I made sure I cleared all my schedule in preparation for this podcast tonight. Thank you for
Yes.
inviting.
I thank you for that, because you know what? You the man. You the man. You've been out here. You've been doing this a long time, man. I've been seeing you and since man, so much with Radio One and 97.5 out there and all these events. Man, a lot of people may not even be aware of some of the stuff that has gone on to some of the people. And so you've been doing this for a minute. So I had to. And how's life treating you?
Well, I this year I turned 61. And I'm still going, and I'm still feeling blessed, and I feel like there's still more to do. I don't look back as often as I should and appreciate the journey, but I still feel like I got a ways to go. So I'm thankful for that. I got my good health and good friends and family, good connections here in North Carolina.
So before we go any further, I'm glad you said that, because what I always like to do is I always like to go back to the beginning, right? I know you as a DJ. I know you're here in the Triangle area, but you may not even be from here. So I'd like you to take a moment just to let the people know who is Travis Gales, a little bit about where you're from, a little bit about your upbringing, and take us back to those days. And then we'll come up to where we are today and see how we got here. So just give us a little background, if you will.
Okay. Well, I like to say that I am a North Carolina native. I was born in North Carolina. However, my family, they started in Philadelphia. And my parents, they were born here in North Carolina in a rural area in Scotland County, in a little town called Wagram, North Carolina, sort of right on the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. And my father, he went into the military, and my mother was attending Shaw University here in Raleigh. And when my dad got out of the military, he talked my mom into leaving Shaw to come to live in Philadelphia. This was in the 50s. And while they were there, my two older brothers were born in Philadelphia. And then about 8 years later, 1965, I was born. However, my mother decided to come to North Carolina to have the birth. And so my birth certificate does have North Carolina on it. As soon as I was born, we went back to Philadelphia, and I stayed there until I was about 6 or 7 years old. And then we eventually moved back to North Carolina. And so I grew up in a real rural country farm area in Scotland County on my grandfather's farm. And he was a patriarch of my family, and all my aunts and uncles and cousins. We all lived on this compound with pigs and chickens, and me and my brothers, we were sort of like fish out of water when we moved to North Carolina. But I was born here, but I was bred here. And so I went to I went all the grade school here in North Carolina, and it was a little town where I grew up. My family, we were always into music, collecting music, and of course we had a foundation of the church. My grandfather, he was a sort of a neighborhood musician, in which he played for the church, and I had relatives, of course, that can sing, and then we all, listened and collected music.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was during that time, in the, I guess it would be the mid 70s, I began to have a fascination for music, and during that era, that was a funk and disco era, and so
disco music.
Yes, and so I fell in love with the Jackson 5 and Earth, Wind and Fire and Rick James and all the Motown acts. And my brothers, who were 8 or 9 years older than me, they had a great music collection that I wasn't allowed to touch as the little brother.
Wow.
And then what would happen during the summers, I would have relatives, during that time, as you probably know, Crystal, a lot of people that was born in the South in the 40s and 50s, they migrated north to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I did have a good number of family members in North Carolina, the other half of my family was living in Brooklyn in the South Bronx. And so during the mid 70s, they would either come down for 4th of July family reunion, and they would stay 2 weeks. And then the next year, we would go to Brooklyn, and I would stay 2 weeks. And so I did that every other year, and they did that every other year. And throughout the 70s.
Well, listen, if you was going to New York in the 70s, then I know you got inspired by some hip hop, because around that time, hip hop was big.
Well, let me tell you, during that time, I would say the time I was conscious, I'd say between 71-ish up until 79, New York yes, hip hop was being created and developed at that time, but my cousins, they didn't call it hip hop. It was just something that they did. And they would send tapes of DJs playing music and block parties. And you're from New York, so you know how New Yorkers would have block parties and parties out in the park, and the DJs were a little bit different than DJs down south. Down south, the DJs would play the record, and then the record would go off, and everybody would leave the dance floor, and then they would play another record, and then everybody would get back on the dance floor. That record would play, and the records were cycled. It wasn't mixed or blended or cut or scratched. But in New York, the music was continuous. It didn't stop for nothing. And so I was always excited and fascinated of the tapes my cousin would bring down every family reunion, and we would all be excited about what new songs would come out that you wouldn't hear down south. And so, and because I had that connection, my cousins would bring me tapes of park jams, and I would put it in my boom box, and I would share it with my country friends, and I was sort of the go-to guy for that.
Yeah, you were the man.
And so that's kind of where my whole sort of fascination of music and collecting music and entertaining my friends sort of came from that experience.
So did you walk around with the big boom box? Remember back in the day, I had like the JVC or the Panasonic. Which one did you have?
I had the Sony. I had a Sony boom box, and now my older brothers, they were a bit older than me, so they had an 8-track player.
Yes.
And so the 8-track was a little different because you couldn't control the music. You couldn't rewind it back. You couldn't fast forward it. You had a little clicker to click the songs that you wanted to hear. But when the cassette came out, that was somewhat of my generation.
Yeah.
And then of course what my cousins would do at the park jams in New York, they would take their boom box and they would set it in front of the speakers to record the DJs. And then they would when they would come down for the family reunion, they would have the tapes, and then I would be the man, after when we returned back to school, I would have all the New York mixtapes of BLS and Frankie Crocker and Flash and Hollywood, and I had all those tapes, and all the tapes of Grandmaster Flash and who else? The Cold Crush Brothers and all the guys that was rapping before it actually as they got on wax. I had all those tapes.
You said Frankie Crocker. I almost started, because he had that hit. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go.
No.
Man, anybody from New York with WBLS.
Yeah. And I had all those tapes, and I was fascinated by that. And what was so I guess you would think, me being a DJ now, at that time there weren't any DJs in my hometown that you would think you would see today, where there are DJs everywhere. Everybody's a DJ now, but back in those days, nobody was a DJ. People played records,
right? And
they had parties, but there wasn't a thing where you would have a DJ with 2 turntables and a mixer and big speakers and that. So somebody would have a component set in their living room and they would play music, but there wasn't a DJ culture where I'm from.
Yes. So let me ask you this, Travis. So back in elementary school and middle school, when you used to have those school projects and used to have to do essays, and they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Did you say back then that you wanted to be a disc jockey?
Well, not until the 80s, but from 75 to 79, I wanted to be in the funk band. Okay. Again, hip hop really didn't click down here until the mid 80s. But during that time, we were into, the Ohio Players and George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic and Cameo, Earth, Wind and Fire, and James Brown, of course. And I wanted to be in the horn section of those bands. That was cool to me. And I played the trumpet in high school and in middle school. And me and my friends, we had a little funk band that we played in talent shows, and I was in the horn section. So right up until, I guess, 1981, my fascination was to be in the barcades. You know, I didn't want to be in Wu-Tang Clan or the Run DMC. I wanted to be in the horn section with James Brown and Rick James. And that was what my motivation was at that time.
Wow.
And
So when did you actually have your first DJ experience? You remember how old you was when you got behind some turntables?
Oh, yes. So once we got to the late 70s, 79, that's when we got records like, Curtis Blow and Rapper's Delight and Flash and them they were rapping. I had all these mixtapes, but we still had this funk band. And if you remember, Crystal, when rap first started out, it wasn't really hip hop. It was like disco rap. When we talk about the early rap songs of Curtis Blow and the Sugar Hill Gang and even Grandmaster Flash, they were taking disco songs and rapping over them.
Yes.
And so that was kind of, that was sort of like the merge of funk and disco into rap music, not necessarily hip hop.
Yes.
And so me and my friends, we wanted to form our little rap group. I'm not a rap group, our little DJ crew. That's what we were going to try to do. So and so those days you couldn't just go into a Sam Ash or a Guitar Center and just walk in there and buy you some speakers and buy your amp and a mixer. You had to make it. You had to get an old record player, your old grandma's record player, and rip the speakers out and get wood from the back of the barn and make speakers. And then you take your component set that you got from your aunt and your cousin who went to the army, and you put your little component set together. So we were going to create a little DJ crew from that. And this was when about 80, 81, somewhere like that. And then one of my friends' fathers bought him an actual DJ system, a set of speakers and DJ system. And we were so excited. This was about 81. And we thought had arrived. We thought, we were going to be DJs, real DJs at that point. But when my friend's father brought in the DJ system and set it up, he busted in the room and told his son that nobody is to touch the DJ system but his son. So we all had to watch. It deflated us too. Wow. So we all had to watch him become a DJ without us, and it frustrated a lot of us. And the only thing I could do was make mixtapes. And so I still was making mixtapes from, my cousins were sending me tapes and BLS and Grandmaster. So but I couldn't make tapes like my friend. He was making tapes with real records. And during that time too, DJs that made mixtapes from the club and from their parties, their mixtapes was like $25 to $50. They were selling these tapes, out in the street. But for me, I wasn't a real DJ, and my tapes didn't have any value to them because, again, people down south didn't have an appreciation for hip hop like they do now. And
selling mixtapes. It is interesting because selling the mixtapes was popular, right? Everybody was out there getting it on the streets in New York. And, just hearing you talk about it makes me think about, Curtis Blow. And I want you to know that these are the brains. Yeah. Those are the songs. They don't make music like that no more. But right now it's so different. The Sugar Hill Gang, it's different. It's just so different. And I can see why it would inspire you coming from the South and going up there and hearing this, culture like it was, because everybody outside on the stoop and standing around break dancing and all that stuff. It was a vibe. It was a total vibe. So I can imagine how it just interests you. And I see the Reflective Podcast Network. Thank you so much for commenting. The Reflective Podcast Network made a few comments, and I want to recognize you for that. So thank you so much for being here. And anybody else, if you put your comments in, we'll let you know. They said hip hop saved lives. And you're right, it did save some lives. He also said about the funk. He made a comment about funk too. He said funk and jazz started it all. And
Yeah.
so thank you for that. That is so, so, so true. Thank you for the love. So keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. Listen, and we know for a fact that people are inspired by a lot. You know, there's a battle of people from the east, the west, the north, and the south. But everybody has their own vibe, and we're grateful for all the vibes and everybody who comes with that. So, what was it about it that inspired you, though? What was it about the whole culture that inspired you to say, you know what, I want to do this. I want to be a DJ.
Well, in listening to those tapes, I just, you know, because I was young, I didn't go to parties, of course, and even in New York, I didn't actually see rapping and hip hop. I saw block parties, but it still wasn't like rapping and hip hop that we were hearing on the records, because these records was at I think the club was called the Fevers in the Bronx and places like that, where I was even too young, even my cousins were too young to get into. And so my first concert I ever went to, I actually saw rapping for the very first time, somebody actually rapping live, was in 1980. It was Curtis Blow, Stephanie Mills, and the Commodores in Greensboro Coliseum. And I was about 14 years old. My brother took me, but we were all there to see the Commodores. And this was when the Commodores had their live album. But I was there to see Curtis Blow. And my brother, he didn't really care for rap music. He didn't think it was going to last. He thought it was a fad. And Curtis Blow, and I forgot who his DJ was, DJ AJ or something like that. And it was the first time I actually saw somebody rapping live and a DJ cutting. And even though it was exciting to see, a lot of people here in North Carolina had never seen anything like that. And it was like after hearing these tapes for, you know, we're talking about like a 4-year period of actually listening to hip hop on tapes, and then now I'm actually seeing it live, man. It was just, I knew right then that's what I wanted to do. And
wow, and the cutting and the scratching. So when you saw that scratching for the first time, did it amaze you? Because
it amazed, because I had been hearing it, you know, on these tapes. I had been hearing Grandmaster Flash and some of the early pioneers mixing and cutting, and then actually seeing somebody do it and doing it in a way that made it look so easy. And later I learned how complicated it was, but to see him do it so easy, and the crowd response was just incredible. It was just, I was just amazed by that. And so that was, from that day, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to have that experience of being in Greensboro Coliseum and doing that routine and rocking the crowd. I wasn't going to stop until I got that moment.
Really? You know? So what did you do? So you went to school. Did you go to high school and college? And did you start to pick up music?
Well, when I got to high school, remember I told you my friend, he became a DJ. He was my best friend growing up. He was a year older than me, but he went to high school, and then he started doing high school parties after the football games on Friday night. And then he was recording his parties, and when we were on the school bus, he would be playing his mixtapes of the party, and everybody on the bus would just, just excited for him. And I had my little beat making tapes, my little tapes that I was making from New York. They kind of got played out. Nobody wanted to hear those tapes. People wanted to hear live in the club music. And so my stuff was just so rare and obscure. It was like, it was just, people just didn't want to hear it no more. They thought it was just a hot mess, hearing guys rapping over music. So then I started learning a lot of the rhymes that Melly Mel and Kumo D and Busy B. I knew, I had been listening to those tapes so much, I knew those rhymes by heart. And then I started rapping over my own beats, making my own rapping and rhymes.
Okay.
And then one day on the school bus, they played one of my rhyme routines. And my friend who was a DJ, he said, man, you need to come with me to one of my parties and do it at my party, become a hype man. So I did the Curtis Blow routine and the Grandmaster, because I was biting their rhymes. And I made up some of my rhymes of my own, but throw your hands in the air and, say ho and all that. I had it down pat because I studied it for 3 years. So I became my.
You got to say, throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. Yeah. And if you something, say, oh, yeah. And so something's happening right there right now with your Wi-Fi. Let's get that Wi-Fi together. But ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Travis Gales right now. We want to make sure that we give him a moment to get that together. But whatever's happening with the Wi-Fi, we know sometimes that gets together. And he is a DJ that has been out here for a while. And so we definitely want to hear what he has to say, because it's intriguing to know someone who has been through this path of DJing. You back with me? You might want to go out and come back in, and that may help you. Let me let you do that. Go out and come back in, and that may help. Let me help you to do that. I'm going to take you down and bring you back up. Yeah, his story is amazing. There's so many DJs here that may have an amazing story that we're not sure about. And I agree that his story is amazing to hear. And it's the Wi-Fi. It's always the Wi-Fi. So turn it off. Turn the Wi-Fi off. That's probably going to be the thing. Now, while he's getting it together, I have something I want to show y'all. Let me show y'all a sneak peek of his journey, because I happen to have a video. So while he's getting that together, I'm going to show y'all this video just to let you see the evolution of Mr. Travis Gales while he's working on the Wi-Fi. Like I said, he is the master. He blends the culture, storytelling, and music, and he knows how to blend that all in. And then he even went so far as to study what's happening now with technology. And so he understands how technology has advanced, how people are using AI and digital tools now with their music. And so that's something that you want to know. He's a veteran, y'all. He's a host. He's a DJ. He's a digital media strategist. 40 years in the broadcasting system. Been at the radio stations, some of the biggest stations here that we know, 97.5, and been on some of the biggest events that we have had here. If you're from this area, you know about FamFest, Bimbe, and all those things that we have here. So definitely a pleasure to have him here to just remind us of those things. So while he's doing this, while he's getting all this stuff together, what I'm going to do is, he's very innovative. What I'm going to do is show you this video real quick, okay? And then after we show you the video, we feel as though he should be back. Check this out. Yes. So I'm telling you, man, there you have it. You see all the different things that he has been able to do, and he has been blessing us with all of those different events. And we're just grateful. I mean, we've seen everything that you have been doing, all the different platforms that you've been on when it comes to broadcasting, from radio to the platforms. I showed the video so they could see with K97.5 and everything. Take us back, Travis, to that first time when you actually put all your skills in motion, I know you were telling us about your friend. He let you DJ, so that's how you had your first experience. But take us back to the first time that you went to get a position in a radio station. If there's a DJ out here watching, do you remember that first time when you went to interview to be a disc jockey for a radio? Is he frozen? Oh my goodness, he's really having difficulty here. Wow, he was doing so well. He was talking to me the whole time we were here. And now it's not something, boy, I tell you, Travis has got a lot going on. And it is truly trying to keep him from sharing his story. But that's okay. We're gonna get this thing fixed. He's gonna come back. Can you hear me? Travis?
You know what, Crystal? I cannot hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you. That's amazing. What
Can you
happened?
hear me?
I can. Yes. I can hear you. You know, and this is funny because this is what happens with technology, y'all. When you are usually stuff like this happens behind the scenes, but you're seeing it because this is a live show. So you're literally seeing it live, what's happening. And so that's why while he's getting all this together, what I am doing is I am just kind of showing you all these things. And Travis been at it for a minute. You know, he showed us this baby
Trial.
for a long time since he's been a little boy. You know, he's been doing
Trial.
this for a little while, ever since these days. Okay, so look at him just doing all this since he's been in spinning those turntables he told us about since he saw them.
Trial.
So a dream came true. And I know that he is trying to get his sound
Trial.
He's trying to get his sound together. Can you hear me? Say something. Say something. Because I can't hear you. Wow. Say
Trial.
something. You might have to go out and come back in because I can't hear you. And I can't hear you. And you know, it's funny because sometimes when
Trial.
y'all show up to events, let me take you down and you come back up. Let me kick you all the way out and you come back in again. Try that. And I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we go through. This is what happened behind the scene. But let me just remind you of what you got going on right now. If you're in the Durham area, right? If you're in the Durham area, Travis Gales is the man. He's the DJ for Durham Central Park. Okay, on the first Friday of each month, all the way to October, this man is going to be providing the music. You can go down there and have some food, some beer, and it's going to be from 6:30, and the DJ starts at 7. They even have live music at 7:30, and it's a dance party that starts happening at 9:30. So make sure you go check that out. All that is going to be taking place at the Durham City Park. All of that is taking place at the Durham City Park. All right. And yeah, I see him back in the building. Let's see if he's there. Can you hear me now, Travis?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Yes, and I hear you too. So listen, that's what happens. I told people the show has to go on. When the stuff happens, you got to be able to flow. You got to be able to flow. So I was letting the people know about this right here. And I'm going to go back to the question I asked you before. But while I have this up here.
Yeah, my apologies because in my excitement, I hit my Ethernet cord and it threw everything off. So I promise you I won't use my hands so much.
That's okay. It happens to the best of you. So
I got to remember not to get too excited.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool because you're human. You're human. Let me ask you this. So I'm gonna go back to what I asked you about that first. So first we were talking about the beginning, right? But because I don't want to lose the people, I want to stay on track. Because I have this flyer up in front of us, and I know this just took place. Is this something that the people in the area need to try to plan to attend? Is it a vibe?
Yes, it is. It's one of my best events, and it's a park jam. The first Friday night of every month, May through October. We have food trucks. We have a live band. It's a dance party. It starts about 6:30 downtown Durham. It's all races come out, all groups of people come out. It's a grown folks event, but you could bring your kids.
Okay.
And it's food trucks, it's beer and wine, it's free, it's a lawn party. And so I usually come out there, I usually set up about 6:30. It's a block party, of course. And we have a stage sound system, of course. And then from 6:30 to 7, I'm just playing music and we're just vibing. While everybody's setting up, getting their space, lawn chairs, and whatever they're bringing out there. And then from 7 to 7:30, we have a line dance party.
Okay.
Where everybody comes out. We do a line dance session. Sometimes we have a line dance instructor. And so we'll do line dances. Now, this is live on the radio, too. So my show that I do on Friday night, the show that I do on Friday night is called the Friday Night Old School Mix. And I've been doing it for the past 7 years on 90.7. And then we started doing this event maybe 4 or 5 years ago out at Durham Central Park. And it's about 2,000 to 3,000 people every time, rain or shine. And we'll have a different band every time. And so it'll be a Latin band or a jazz band, or it'll be some type of eclectic band that'll perform from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. And then from 9 o'clock to 10, I'll come back and I'll do an after party. And it's a great event. And it's one of Durham's best kept secrets, and it's free.
Oh, wow, that's it. And the fact that you could bring your children, I think I love that. So bring your children out. Good parking. It's pretty good parking.
Well, I because I'm always playing, I never know where everybody parks, but it's not a traffic jam like if you're going into Walnut Creek or you're going into Red Hat. People tend to get there, and it's an event, rain or shine, and again, it's just a great feel good event for the community.
Okay. Well, while you were going, I showed the video so people could see how you have been doing this, how you have been playing since you were a little boy. Now, I'd asked you earlier before you hit the chords about the first time when you really stepped out because you knew you were interested in being a DJ, and how did you go about it? In case there's somebody watching that wants to be a DJ, what path did you take as far as getting the experience and education that you needed to pursue a career in this?
Okay. Well, I do encourage you, if somebody have a desire to be a DJ, I would encourage them to find somebody to mentor them. And while I didn't have a hands-on mentor in the early part of my career, I kind of followed I was telling you about my friend who started DJing high school parties, and then he invited me to be his hype man. And it was from that experience that I, learned how to work the microphone, work the crowd. I saw how he was positioning himself as a DJ, how he was making money. Because in those times, DJs weren't necessarily what we now call mobile DJs. You were either a DJ in a club, or you may have done somebody's backyard cookout, but we didn't have like we didn't have like a DJ at your wedding. Your wedding, like now where you have a DJ at your wedding and or a DJ at your reunion, or a DJ for a corporate event or anything like that. DJs where I'm from were club DJs, and usually the DJ was the guy who promoted the club. So the club owner, he would just manage the bar. He may have security, but the DJ was the attraction. And so when I was coming up to be a DJ, I was aspiring to be a DJ where I was a draw, sort of like I don't know if you're familiar with DJ Cleve or somebody like that.
Oh yeah, I know DJ Cleve.
Right. Well, DJ Cleve is actually from the Carolinas. That's the model of the DJ from where I'm from. He grew up not too far. I don't know him personally, but he grew up in the area where I'm from. Right down on the border. That is the model of being a DJ where I'm from, where you were the attraction, where people booked you to bring the crowd. Unlike DJs up here, where you showed up to the nightclub or the bar, sometimes you don't know who the DJ is. But where I'm from, the DJ was the attraction, like Cleve. And so in Cleve, again, he's from South Carolina, and that's the culture down there. And so we had DJs from that area, the Fayetteville, I would say Fayetteville South. There was a DJ. I don't know if everybody knows Gilbert Bays. Remember Gilbert Bays, the weatherman?
Oh yeah, from the radio. Yeah, right. From the radio. Yes.
Well, Gilbert Bays, he was a DJ in Fayetteville that I looked up to. I know Gilbert Bays as a DJ. I don't know him as the weatherman from WRL.
Okay.
I remember him from being a DJ and DJing in the club on the radio, or we would get in our car and we would DJ, go watch him, listen to him DJ. And then there was another DJ down there who was very famous, well-known DJ Disco Dynamite. And he was a big time DJ in that area. And he was a draw too. So those guys were kind of my mentors of who I followed and who I aspired to be from North Carolina.
Okay.
But during that time, I still never got a chance to DJ a party. I was still promoting mixtapes, and I was making my raps. I had a little rap group, and we were going around. At some point of the night, these DJs would have me and my crew. I don't know if I sent you the picture of Gangsta Party. Show that picture of Gangsta Party. Okay. I think it's the picture of me, and I think I had on shades, and I was doing the Wakanda pose. I think I
yeah. I had that in the video. I showed that in the video, definitely.
Well, that pose of me was my crew that would follow me everywhere I would go, and these DJs would have me perform a rhyme or sort of a Curtis Blow call and response routine. You know, everybody say ho, and again, because I knew all the Hollywood and the Melly Mel rhymes and the Curtis Blow rhymes before they got on wax, I knew all those rhymes and routines. And so these DJs would book me, and at certain points of the night, I would do my routine.
Oh, wow.
And so I did that pretty much throughout the 80s in my hometown. Okay. And then I went to North Carolina Central. And when I went to North Carolina Central, my first freshman year, I didn't really think about DJing. I just wanted to get out of my small hometown. Yes, that was me and my crew when we went to parties, and I was a hype man, you know, sort of like what's the guy, Fat Man Scoop? Oh, wow. You know, that kind of routine. I would do those kind of routines, and
wow, you was like the local Fat Man Scoop. Cool.
Yes, I was that.
You doing this right there in the middle. Okay,
yes.
Okay.
And that was one condo pose. That was 1985. I did that pose in 1985. And when I saw the Black Panther movie, they was doing it, I was like, they stole that from me. Wow. But that was my move. That was my move. And this was my crew, the Full House crew. We weren't a gang or anything, but they followed me around, and they were rappers too. But mainly I was the one that had the nerve to ask the DJ to let me get on the mic, and he would usually let me get on.
That's it, you know, because you were the one that wanted to get up there and show what you were working with, and you was like, let me get it, let me get there, right. Let me get there. And to this day, you're still doing it.
And so I had 4 years of that. So I had 4 years of hyping up my high school friend. And so I had my routine down pat. And so when I got to North Carolina Central, the culture up here in Durham was different down in my hometown. As I told you before, in my hometown, the DJs were the draw to the event. Yeah. But when I got up here, the DJs was the afterthought. You know, it was either, you know, the club had a nice, you know, it was either a nice club and they just happened to have a DJ. You know, it weren't a lot of park jams. You know, it was maybe 1 or 2 DJs here and there in Durham, maybe 1 or 2 DJs in Raleigh, but it isn't like it is now. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that was different in my hometown is we didn't have a radio station in my hometown. So the DJs was the DJs and the mixtapes was the source for music down in my hometown. So we didn't listen to the radio and say, oh, they playing Chris Brown, we got to get the Chris Brown song. Oh, they're playing, you know, Rihanna, or, you know, it wasn't like that. Our records were independent, raw records, and they came from Florida. They came from DC. You know, we had go-go records before go-go was out, and house music, and we because all our cousins Remember, they moved from the South to New Jersey. They moved from the South to DC. They moved from the South. They were in the Army and the military, so they had been to Chicago in the truck. And when they would come home for the summers, they would bring records. So my record collection was just off the freaking chain when I got to North Carolina Central. I had records, from all over, and records that people didn't have. But I still didn't have any equipment to DJ an event. So I was still making mixtapes in my dorm, for people, for my friends. And so now I'm making mixtapes for DC people that went to Central, and New Yorkers that went to Central, and people from Florida and Atlanta. So I had to have a really good collection to cover all those bases and stuff. So
now Central loves you now, because now you're the man over there at Central now. So now you're doing all kind of stuff for Central right now, right?
Well, that picture you see of me, remember my dream was really to be in the barcades as a trumpet player. Hip hop still was something of a New York thing. People down south didn't look at Southern guys as hip hoppers. We were beneath, we were low value when it came to hip hop. Even I remember when Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff came out, right?
Yeah.
And they had a song called "Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble." And remember, Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff was from Philly,
right?
And when they came out with that song, they came to my hometown and performed, and we booed them because they weren't from New York. If you wasn't from New York, you wasn't a real rapper. That's how we looked at it. That's how it was back in those days.
Right.
And the fact that we was from North Carolina, we was 10 steps below Philly and New Jersey and Delaware. And you see what I'm saying? So when Will Smith and them came to our hometown to perform, we booed them off the stage because we didn't look like they were real hip hoppers. You had to be from New York. So I'm still in my mind, the picture which showed me being in a marching band. My dream was still to be in a horn section of the barcades and Cameo. Yeah, that picture there. And so, but that picture, it shows, you notice I'm not carrying an instrument. I'm carrying a microphone.
Right.
And guess what I'm doing?
Wow.
I'm hyping up the crowd.
Okay. So you got to, you evolved. You started out as the hype man, and then you went from being a hype man to the DJ, and so that's really, really cool. Who was your mentor? Like who you said get with a mentor. That was the thing you said if somebody wanted to be a DJ. Did you have a mentor that took you under their wing?
I didn't have anybody to take me under my wing, take me under their wing. But I was the guy that when I went to the party, I didn't dance. I just stood by the DJ. I would stand up on the wall and just watch the DJ the whole night. And
wow.
And that's all I did. I didn't have anybody that say, "Hey, I'm gonna let him." I was still asked to let me on the mic. I would still go to the guy and say, "Hey, man, can I get on the mic?" And sometimes they would let me on, but they would never let me DJ. But they would let me hype the crowd. And so that's kind of what I got known for. And then when I got to North Carolina Central, we were having band parties every Friday night. Mm-hmm. Now just imagine it's 125 band members in a 2-bedroom apartment on a Friday night. And then the football players would come, and then cheerleaders would come, and they would bring their roommates. So this party of 100 band members would be 300 college kids in a 2-bedroom apartment in Durham every Friday night. So that was my first experience in actually DJing on the turntables and mixing and hyping the crowd. And then I got known for that. And then the band director at the time, Jerry Head, he wanted to do a rap routine. That was the year that I did that picture there. Dougie Freish's show came out. And North Carolina Central was the first band to perform a rap song and as a marching band in HBCU. We was the first band to do that. And I actually rhymed on the microphone on the football field. I think we did it twice. We did it at the A&T game, and then we did it a second time when we traveled to Norfolk, Virginia, and that performance was live on BET, that halftime performance.
Wow. And then you went to being the old school mixed man.
Well, this is much later. This is now. And so but that was my connection to the university, is that I started in 83. So now all these people that I went to college with are now 50 and 60-year-old alumni. So now when they're having their reunions, or when they come to town for homecoming, or when their kids are getting married, or I'm the guy that they say, hey, Travis was my DJ in college. Now we're having a reunion, a class reunion, or I'm getting married, I'm renewing my vows, or my daughter is getting married. I want to get Travis a DJ. So that's where all this is coming from now. Wow.
So you're not only doing that, but they calling you for events like this coming up in July.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you how I got to this point is that because I did have a bit of a layoff. Now, one of the things that happened to me, one of the turning points that happened to me is a picture of me and Jam Master Jay. I don't know if I sent that to you.
I don't know if I have that one.
There's a picture of me in a club, and Jam Master Jay is in the picture. I think I sent that to you, but I don't know if you saw that. But you live in Raleigh, but it was in the pictures that I sent you. So right around the time of, I would say 87 and 88, around that time, everybody's familiar with the DJ Naps, the DJ for Crisscross.
Yes.
Okay. The year after I did the Dougie Fest performance, he attended North Carolina Central and he joined the band. And by that time, I was the top dog DJ on campus, where I was DJing for every fraternity. One of the band members was a student body president, and so whenever they had an event at Central, I was a DJ for just about every event. And then when Nabs came, Nabs was on the radio for NC State, and he was doing a radio show with this guy by the name of Waxmaster Tory. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was a legendary. He was really the first hip hop radio DJ in Raleigh, Durham. His name was Waxmaster Tory, and what he would do, you would submit your tapes to him, because back in those days, DJs didn't DJ live on the radio. You submitted your tape, your cassette tape, and he would play tapes of all the DJs in the area. A lot of DJs you hear today, yes. And so he had a show, and Nabs was his main DJ. So when Nabs came to North Carolina Central, everybody knew him. Oh, this is the picture right here. I don't know if you can hold this picture, but that picture with the red cap, that is Jam Master Jay, Run DMC. And this was in 1988. This picture was taken. And the story behind this tape was that when Nabs came to North Carolina Central, he and I became partners, because he had one good turntable and I had one. I was still DJing on a raggedy DJ system. So Nabs had one good turntable and I had one good turntable. He had one good speaker and I had one good speaker. He had the Dance to the Drums beat and I had the other copy of the Dance to the Drums beat. Wow. So we put our DJ system together and we became partners. He was in the band with me. Wow. And so our formula was, I would open up the party. Remember, I'm a funk and disco guy. I'm still not. I'm playing hip hop, but rap music, but I'm not a hip hop DJ. I'm still a funk and disco. I'm still playing Michael Jackson and Cameo and SOS Band, and I'm still playing that kind of stuff. I'm playing rap music too, but I'm all around. When Nabs came, he was a 100% hip hop from top to bottom, start to finish. And that combination really made us really pop, because the older crowd liked us, and then we had the height of the younger crowd. And so I came in, I opened up, got the crowd going, and then when he came on late in the night, I flipped over to being his hype man, and that was our formula. And so that picture of me and Jam Master Jay, that picture was the turning point of my DJ career. And so me and Nabs had about a 2-year run, and he was DJing at this place called The Deck. Now, Crystal, you live in Raleigh. Now, you know where the Ritz is in Raleigh?
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Okay. Well, in the 80s, the late 80s, that spot used to be a nightclub called the Ritz.
Yes, that's
I'm
right.
sorry. Used to call it the Deck, but they turned it now to the Ritz. It's a
Mhm.
performance hall now. But at that time, it was a seafood restaurant made out like a old pirate ship from the outside. So when you went up to it, it looked like a pirate ship. But on the inside, it was a seafood restaurant. But then it turned into a club. And then on Sundays, they would have Nabs DJ. And it was one of Raleigh's first hip hop parties, and Nabs was a DJ. And then at some point that summer, I think it was 88, somewhere at 87, I think it was 88, Nabs had decided to join the National Guard and go down to Morris Brown College in Atlanta. And he recommended me to become the DJ at this club called The Deck. And it was a Sunday night hip hop party. And when I came to Raleigh, nobody knew me in Raleigh because I was a Durham guy. And not only was I a Durham guy, I was a Central guy. So Shaw people didn't know me. St. Aug people, nobody in Raleigh knew me. But all I was the guy filling in for Nabs. You know, everybody knew Nabs. Everybody knew Nabs from radio. And I was the fill-in for him. And so nobody really was giving me any they won't hate on me, but I was just a fill-in guy.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks into me doing this Sunday party, the owner came to me and said that Russell Simmons was bringing Run DMC to do a promo date, and they weren't performing. They had released the album Run's House. And I don't know if you can go back to that picture. If you can get back to that picture. That picture tells a whole, really was a turning point for me. And so I had been DJing there a couple weeks. I'm replacing Nabs. People was, I'm a good DJ, but people still won't feeling me. And so Jam Master Jay comes in, and Jam Master Jay, he has bravado. I'm Jam Master Jay, and I'm taking out all DJs. He got on the mic. I'm getting ready to get on the turntables. I'm getting ready to turn it out, And Run DMC was my hero. They were my heroes, you know what I mean? And I'm just amazed that finally my heroes are here getting ready to perform. This was my moment. And Jam Master Jay said he wanted to battle me in front of everybody.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't prepared for it, but it was kind of like a WWE thing. It was like he was just setting himself up. So so you see the look on my face.
Yeah, like what?
Like, you what? And so, but the story behind this is that when Nabs went to Atlanta, he took I had one good turntable and he had one good turntable. But when he went to Atlanta, I had to bring one of my old busted up, broken down turntables that I only knew how to work. And when Jam Master Jay got on my turntable set, he couldn't rock my turntables because the record kept skipping. Every time he got ready to do his Jam Master Jay routine, the record would skip. And he pumped it up that it was going to be a battle, and he was going to punk me battling. But I knew my turntables. See, I had to look at my face. I knew my turntables were going to work. But so he got frustrated and went back out into the crowd and started signing autographs because he got frustrated. When I got back on the turntables, I knew my good turntable. I knew how to work that one. And the song that came out just that week? Rob Bass, It Takes Two.
It takes two to make a thing go wild.
That was a week that song came out. That was like the hottest song. Like everywhere you went, all you did was hear that song. And when I put that song on, boom, 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 right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds of MC Rob Bass. Hit it. Poof. The crowd went bananas. I mean, the crowd went bananas, and I don't even know where Jam Master Jay went after that. But from that point on, I rocked that crowd, that rest of the summer. And everybody from that point on, this was 88, everybody knew me as the guy that battled Jam Master Jay. I was the guy that I was the guy that battled Jam Master Jay. And you got to remember, Crystal, Run DMC was actually 82 till about 85. Remember, they fell off with KRS One and Rakim and Juice Crew and LL Cool J. Remember, Run DMC had kind of fell off a little bit, and then when they came out with
Rock This Way, or so many things.
Remember, they crossed over. So
Yeah.
that high school crew.
That's where I'm from. I lived in the neighborhood with them.
Oh, in the house. Okay.
I went from Harlem to Queens and right up from Jamaica Park and Hollis Avenue. He stayed right next door to my best friend.
Yeah, that's all the legends came out of Hollis, Queens.
Yeah. LL Cool J and all of that. Coming out of New York, it was amazing because there's so much history, hip hop history there. And that is a heck of a story for you to actually be challenged by him. The look on your face told it all. I can't even imagine how you were thinking, like, you want to do what? Like, and to have a reputation for that, that's pretty cool because
from that point on, he's the DJ, people, because these were high school kids. Remember, I'm a college kid DJing for high schoolers. And so
you knew then that DJing was more than a hobby, huh?
Yeah, it was like, man, you could not tell this ninja nothing from that point on. And so,
wow.
So I graduated.
That's amazing. And Run DMC. So would you say that? I heard you say those were idols. So were they your top group? I mean, who's your top 3 groups? I mean, because as a DJ, right? Were you studying the ones that were scratching, or what kind of DJ did you study as you perfected your craft as a DJ?
Remember, my heart has always been about those WBLS tapes from the late 70s and early 80s. The DJ that mix. A lot of people don't know, maybe have never heard of this guy by the name of Pete DJ Jones. And he does not get a lot of credit for his contribution to not only DJing, but hip hop. But Pete DJ Jones was the guy who actually taught Grandmaster Flash how to be a professional DJ. Of course, everybody knows Grandmaster Flash was the one who invented beat matching and I forgot what he called it, extending the breaks, scratching and extending the breaks. But he was still just a street DJ. But when Grandmaster Flash started going into the club to DJ, the top DJ that they were emulating was this guy by the name of Pete DJ Jones, who was from Raleigh, North Carolina, who went to Ligon, who graduated from Ligon High School here in Raleigh. Okay. Who traveled. His name is Pete DJ Jones, and he's from Raleigh, North Carolina. And between the years of 1969 till about 77, he was the top DJ in New York City that all of the DJs emulated, all the top DJs. And,
now I'm wondering, let me ask you something. Was you at the event where Raleigh did the hip hop for the 50 years of hip hop? Did they honor Pete?
Yeah,
did they honor DJ Jones?
They did not. I wish they would have, but they did not. But see, he wasn't a hip hop guy in Raleigh. He was a hip hop guy in New York. He was New York's top DJ.
But he still would have been a part of the culture.
Well, so he did retire. He did become a school teacher here in Cary, and but when he was, from what I understand, I talked to his son. He didn't really DJ after the late 70s. He was pretty much retired, but from 69 to 79 or to the mid 80s, he was the top DJ in New York that they all were emulating, because Flashton wasn't old enough to DJ in clubs. He was DJing in all the top clubs. And there was a legendary battle between Grandmaster Flash and Kool Herc.
Yeah.
But Kool Herc was supposed to have battled Pete DJ Jones. But Pete DJ Jones had his understudy DJs, which was Starsky, Lovebug Starsky, and Grandmaster Flash. That's who he eventually battled, but he was supposed to battle Pete DJ Jones.
You remember a lot of those names too.
Well, see, now we have the internet, and again, I'm a student of the game, so I
so you remember a lot of names. Now, you just named the one that started hip hop, and
DJ Kool Herc, yeah.
Yeah, Cool Herc went to school with my ex because my ex
Okay.
was from the Bronx, and they were, he was at the parties that they used to do with them. They were all
Yeah.
there at the parties and the whole thing. He was there part of that whole beginning. So it's interesting. That whole hip hop thing is really interesting to know.
Yeah.
So wow, wow, wow. So that's really, really interesting. So you have a rich history in this. Like some people they just DJ because they
Yeah.
like it, but you really have history when it comes to this. Now, when you think about the evolution of it, now, what do you prefer, the vinyl, the CDs, or the digital platform?
I really don't have a preference for any one thing. I just, it's, to me, it's all about the crowd. So whatever the crowd appreciates, that's what I'm going to roll with. One quick story. I was a vinyl snob up until about 1999, where if you wasn't a vinyl DJ, you wasn't a real DJ. I had that mindset. And when DJ started DJing with CDs, I refused to adapt. I was not going to DJ with a CD. Going into a record store and collecting records and find, you see, I still got all my records.
I see you got all the records. Hold it up. Listen, he got the real deal. And when
I got every record I've ever purchased since 1979. My very first one. I got them all. And there was a time where, if you wasn't a DJ, if you wasn't a vinyl DJ to play vinyl, you wasn't a real DJ. And that was my, I refuse to touch a CD player. You were not going to get me to do it. And then I had an unfortunate situation in which I went out one night and I had all my records and I got into a car accident and I lost all my collection.
Oh wow! That's a hurtful thing.
And it was terrible too because I didn't DJ. This was I'm skipping over the 90s because the 90s I was pretty much a radio DJ, but I still wasn't DJing in clubs. People were still booking me to hype parties up. So in Raleigh, all the clubs in Raleigh, you can name them. I was either the hip hop guy, the voice guy, or the commercial on the radio. I was the guy promoting the events on the radio. And so I did that throughout the 90s, but I still wasn't DJing records or playing parties. Remember, DJs weren't DJing weddings and that kind of stuff in those days. And even on the radio, the DJs submitted tapes. They didn't DJ live on the radio. They submitted their tapes. And I hosted a mix show on K97, but I was the host. I wasn't the actual spinner and that sort of thing. We played tapes.
So what do you think makes a good DJ? What in your opinion, what makes a good DJ?
Just being able to read the crowd. It really isn't about blending and scratching, because I know some DJs they can talk up a good crowd. I like to talk I like to hear a DJ that can talk. Some people don't like DJs that can talk, but I like DJs that can talk and entertain the crowd and interact with the crowd. And as long as you can pick the right songs, that to me is the foundation of what a good DJ. And so when I tell people, when I mentor young people who aspire to be a DJ, it starts with the love of music. And then you have your curiosity for equipment, and then you have your skills, and then how you promote yourself. And so those are the four things you do. But you can actually start out as a promoter and not necessarily be a DJ, but you can still get booked. I know plenty of guys that get booked. Fat Man Scoop, we talked about him. He gets booked as a DJ. He don't even DJ.
Yeah, he did. Bless his heart. The way he left here was like, that was horrible. But he left doing what he loved.
Right.
But woo, that was something. That was something, man.
And then there's some DJs that have just immaculate equipment, like Cool Herc. Like Cool Herc, if you actually heard him DJ, you wouldn't necessarily think of him as a skilled DJ. He wasn't very articulate on the mic, and he really didn't mix, blend, or scratch. But he knew what songs to play, and his sound system was just incredible, so louder and stronger than everybody. He had a DJ system called a Herculoid. His sound system was incredible. And then you have, of course, the DJ that can mix and scratch and blend and cut and do all that kind of thing. And so you can have that guy. And then you can just have the guy that just loves music, the guy who he has the great latest song first. You know what I mean? That you can have that guy, or the guy who never plays the same song twice. And so,
well, let me ask you this. Talk to me about the K97 days when you know, K97, being a part of a radio. I had asked you earlier, in case there's someone that wanted to know what it takes to go up into a radio station and to get them to employ you to be a DJ on the radio. It's different from DJing from parties. Yeah. Talk to me about that for a moment.
Well, if we could go back to 88, and remember I told you my friend Nabs, he was on the radio, but he wasn't talking on the radio, he was just mixing on the radio. So that was my dream, was to have my own mix show, like on BLS or like Red Alert or one of the DJs like that, Mr. Magic. That was kind of like where I wanted to go. But the funny thing about where I was from in North Carolina, we didn't have any radio stations. There weren't any urban radio stations, FM at least. And 87 is when Foxy 107 came on the air here in this area. And I think it was 88, 89, it was when K97 came on the air. But up until that time, all the stations in Raleigh, Durham were AM stations. And some of them, after 6 o'clock, you couldn't even hear them because of the way it worked. So you would hear the stations in the morning, and then about 7:30, the station would fade out and another station would come in the area. And so right around 86, Foxy 107 came on, and they didn't play any rap music. They played R&B. They didn't even play any rap or hip hop. And then when K97 came on, they was somewhat like a pop station. They weren't really a somewhat of a black station. It was started by this guy by the name of Tom Joyner, who, not the Tom Joyner we're used to, but it was this white guy. He started the station, and it kind of had like a pop feel to it. And everybody was really on Foxy 107. They really weren't feeling K97. And then, remember I was telling you about my guy Trey Black, or his name is Waxmaster Tory. When he came on K97 and some other personalities came on K97, then K97 took off as the top station. And that was somewhere in the early 90s. And so the timing for me was perfect, because you know, the technology was changing. So it's like now, the technology was changing. And at that time, Crystal, the street DJs looked at radio DJs as kind of lame. Like they couldn't mix. They couldn't, like, the radio DJs couldn't do a party like they do now. We were in the streets. We were in the clubs.
Yeah, and they didn't think that y'all could do stuff out in the street like Fam Fest and stuff like that. They didn't. Right. They didn't have any respect for none of that stuff. Right?
We didn't have any respect for the radio DJs. But as you can see, the early 90s, guys like myself was getting recruited by these stations. And so that's how I got on K97, because of that moment I had with Jam Master Jay. I kind of got a little bit of notoriety. My reputation was kind of like hot in the streets, because this guy was, I was DJing this club in Raleigh. And so, and I was known for my mixtapes. I had 10 years of experience making mixtapes. So everybody knew my mixtapes. And so when I came to K97, well, what happened was I graduated from Central, and I still didn't quite know what I wanted to do. And so a friend of mine told me about a school in Sanford, North Carolina, Central Carolina Community College. And in those days, Crystal, people went to college first and then to a technical school to learn how to operate a computer or type or learn.
Okay.
It wasn't like it is now, where people go to a community college first and then they transfer their credits to a 4-year college. In those days, it was just the opposite. You learned a liberal degree in college, and then you went to a technical school to actually learn nursing or accounting or whatever your career was going to be that you got your degree in. That's how it was in those days.
Wow.
because
Well,
Central didn't have a radio broadcasting program. They didn't have a radio station. You know, they had communications, but you were taught theory. You didn't actually get on the radio and learn how to do news or radio voiceovers or sales or promotions or anything like that. You didn't learn those kind of things in college.
And look at you now. And look at you now. Now you're out there, you're spinning. You went from being the gangster sitting there with the cross, you know, from being there with you know, my man calling you out. You went from all that to just being on the radio, K97, doing that. And now, you know, here you are. You are the man. You're the man they're calling for all these things. And your dream came true because you wanted to have your own. You wanted to have your own show, and now you have the old school mix show.
That's
right?
where it all came from. My desire from the early '80s. You know, the '90s to me was a blur. In 2000s, I really wasn't. I actually did do a stint at doing weddings and stuff like that, but I just wasn't feeling weddings and stuff like that. So, so again,
so you have this, and then you went from Central, from doing, you know, hype man on the band, and now they calling you for all that stuff for the alumni event. You know, that's amazing. You know, to now, you know, being in
you got to put up the playlist because that's my park jam. And so by the third or fourth year in, we started getting calls to do other festivals.
Like this
Jazz Festival. This year will be my third year doing it. It's the 4th of July weekend, and we have some of the top jazz performers in the industry. I mean, we have Gerald Albright, we have Alex Bouillon. One year we had Patti LaBelle. We've had oh gosh, I can't even think of everybody. Christian McBride.
Where'd this at?
Well, Ocean City is in Topsail Island.
Okay.
Annual every year, and this will be my third year, and I host and DJ, and
oh, that's nice. So you using your voice, so you using both of your skills here.
Yeah, so I DJ, and I DJ the segments, and I do the same thing that I do for the playlist, and they heard me. It was from the playlist that got me tied to this event.
Wow! And then what about this one?
Jazz and Blues Festival. Now that is like the mecca of jazz in our region. Now I'm sure you've heard of John Coltrane. John Coltrane is like the godfather of modern jazz. He's like the Jay-Z of jazz.
Wow.
And he was born in High Point, North Carolina. And every year they honor him with this International Blues Festival. And it's like a pilgrimage of all the jazz and blues, well, at least some of the top jazz and blues performers that come every year. And it's a 2-day event. And I've done this 3 years in a row now, and all the jazz radio stations in the state they have a segment where they host, but I am the DJ for that, and
that's amazing.
So
you have lived out all your dreams. It sounds like, is that correct? When it comes to your dreams in this industry, so.
Yep. Since seeing that performance by Curtis Blow in at Greensboro Coliseum, that's where I am right now. That's where I wanted to be.
So let me ask you this. You said that one of the key things about being a good DJ is knowing how to read the crowd and keep them going. How do you read a crowd? If there's a DJ out here that really wants to know, what is the art of reading a crowd?
Well, and Chris, you've lived long enough to know you can recognize a good DJ because you're from New York and you've been down here long enough, and you've been in the same circles I'm in, so you know all the top DJs in this area. And one advantage that DJs of my generation have is that we have 4 decades. We've seen every decade. I was born in the 60s. I was a teenager in the 70s. I became a young adult in the 80s. I became a mature adult and a professional in the 90s. And that right there locked me into, now I can pick up music. I can hear a trend going on right now, and I can just fall right in. And now I don't do a lot of, high school and college stuff, but I do family stuff.
Yeah.
And so while I can do it, I just know that's not my lane right now. But if I wanted to, I can. But I do keep up with the new music, and I do keep up with trends. It was about 3 years ago. I was in the clubs. I think I did the house restaurant a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, I love some house music now. I love some house. So I want to make sure I don't miss this. So what is the answer to the question?
Oh, the answer to the question. Well, one is time putting in, reading the crowd. It's a lot to go into it. Preparation is important too. So I often imagine myself in different situations. So, I network with people and I observe different events. Sometimes an event will happen. Let's say an event happened last year that I kind of missed out on. I might spend a whole year trying to catch up with the promoter or the event planner for that event. And then I kind of put myself in that network so I get that opportunity. But I still can't have an answer question. It still comes down to just knowing the moment of what people do when they first come to a spot. You don't want to play all your great songs when some people walk in the door. One of the things in terms of reading the crowd, sometimes I pay attention to how people are coupled. If it's a party where people are coupled off, and a guy is bringing his date, sometimes you will not get a really good crowd. But if it's a lot of singles, a lot of single women don't mind dancing with one another. But guys don't dance like they used to on Soul Train. So guys, they'll dance. They'll dance off one or two songs, but
and watch. And the girls have to be out there dancing with each other. The men will just watch.
Yeah, and the men now, sometimes the men, they'll gyrate with each other and won't dance with a girl. Crazy. I'm from the area where you was at the club and you looked across the room and you walked over and you said, "Hey, can I get a dance with you?" And you might get 2 or 3 dances out of her, and the DJ might play the whole song.
That's right. And you might even get a slow jam.
And you get yes. But now the DJ might play 3 or 4 songs in 1 2-minute segment, and if she ain't feeling the segment, she gonna
leave you on the dance floor. Like, whoa.
So guys are now scared to ask ladies to dance because if they don't look the part, guys don't want to get rejected. So the guys just say, you know what, I'm just gonna sit this one out. So of course we're in the line dance era. So
yeah, that always works, right? Put on a line dance, that'll get your crowd going. The women gonna start your party up for you with a line dance. You can't go wrong with that. Would you say that is a great way to get the party going? It's a line dance.
Yeah, line dances. Yeah. Now, another thing too that I'm aware of, I'm conscious of too, Crystal. New Yorkers dance. One thing I love about doing parties for people from New York, New Yorkers dance. Southern people. They I don't know what it is about people from the South. They like to twerk. They like to get to a certain point in the night and twerk and that sort of thing. But the New Yorkers, they like to dance and they dance from start to finish. And so I like DJing for New Yorkers,
Hold on, that's funny. But I got a couple more questions for you. This is hilarious to me. So what is the song that you think gets everybody on the dance floor?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Right now, if I had to play a party right now, what is it? See, that's a loaded question.
Okay.
Give me the scenario and I'll tell you what.
If it's your millennials and your Gen Zs, what's the song? Because the old school
that's anything Chris Brown and anything Usher. And that's Usher and Chris Brown kind of gets thing. What's the song by Chris Brown called "Bad Girl"? That usually gets them going.
Yeah, bad girl. Yeah. Now what about the old school?
I know about it. No, supermodel. No.
Yeah, that's it. What about the old school?
Oh man, it's a lot of stuff. They still like Biggie. They still like the Fat Man Scoop, bass drop. Dum dum dum. Oh, I never knew. They like that song. They like Beyonce. They like like Busta Rhymes, usually any Busta Rhymes song, anything from the 90s, late 90s, you can still play. As far as newer stuff, any Chris Brown stuff, I ain't gonna pull out any one particular Chris Brown song, but Chris Brown is dominating young people now, and of course all the somewhat city girls, the Glorillaz and the Megan Thee Stallions and Cardi B. Cardi B still hot, you know.
So is it the beat? Would you say that is it the lyrics or is it the beat?
It's the vibe. It is the vibe and the energy. It's the energy of the song. It's how that song makes the crowd feel. You know, if you can string a good vibe of songs, it's a song I play called Geeked Up. I don't know if you ever heard this song called Geeked Up. It's like a song that has Young Jeezy in it, and it's called Geeked Up.
Heard it. I have young enough people around me. I probably heard it.
But the twerk music is still popular right now. There's a song called Little Rue called a nasty song. They like that. It's a bunch of little nasty songs that are out. Yeah,
and Percolator will get them out there. I mean, there's some songs that people still will get out there. I think the
Percolator Percolator is getting close to the family reunion song. There's some family reunion songs.
Yeah.
Percolator is getting shorter and shorter. There was a time that Percolator, because when it came out, you played the full 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it became 2 minutes, then it became 1 minute. Now the Percolator gets about 30 seconds. It's funny how you don't play the whole song. If you play the whole song to a crowd, you'll lose your crowd. But as much as you try to play the whole song, you will ruin a party playing the whole song.
And that's crazy. My favorites used to be whenever I would go to a party, I would always go to DJ. If they didn't have this song, to me, they weren't a good DJ. You had to have, if you didn't have Love Is the Message.
See, now you go way. I got this lady, I don't know if she's watching. She probably watched this in the future. She wants to hear Love Is the Message every time. She wants to hear it on the radio every time I play it. And she wants to hear it she comes to the playlist and she says, I want to hear Love Is the Message.
Or either here's my other go-to, Follow Me. Follow me. And then they came up with a line dance to it too. So now you can't lose with Follow Me because
well, Follow Me was one of the songs where you played the whole 7-minute version. Now you played 2 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
Wow. Oh my God.
But the line dances have just taken over now. Is the what's the song called? Boots on the Ground and Cowboy Dance and
do you think Boots on the Ground helped put us where we are with the line dancing?
Well, it's I'm scared because we played it all last year, and the year before that we was playing that song by King George.
So do you think Boots on the Ground was one of the catapults to really kick us into the line dance where we really, I think that one kind of took over. It's like it became
it took over, but I'm scared to play it now because I'm scared it's gonna clear the dance floor. Some songs.
No. I'm not asking you, would you play it now? What I'm asking the question is, do you feel as though that song, when that song came out, that it was a viral national movement for Boots on the Ground, and that it really did shift us into this line dance era, even though you had the King Georges, but I think that song played a major part in it. Do you agree?
Well, but see, we had the Biker Shuffle, and then we had the Tamia song the year before last. Every year it's a new one. You got the Mississippi Slide. See, every year it's a new line dance. But one thing I can give Boots on the Ground credit, it did become a national phenomenon.
Right.
But now it's getting ready to cross over into the family reunion playlist. And once a song gets there, it dies. You can't play it.
That what happens when you get to the family reunion playlist? Is you phasing out?
It's dead. Once a song hits the family reunion, you can't play it. You can't even play it. People look at you like, what? Why are you playing that song?
Wow. 2 more questions for you. 2 more questions I got to ask. What's the wildest thing that you've seen while DJing?
Oh, God, it's a lot of stuff. Oh man. The wildest thing. See, you should have asked me that question a while back. I had to think of it. I've seen just about everything. Of course, the my era, unfortunately, was the violence era in partying, where at the end of the night it was always a fight. You know, that was unfortunate about hip hop in the 80s and 90s. At the end of the night, it was a fight. Oh, I could tell you the wildest thing, and I remember I mentioned about Will Smith.
Yes.
And this is a true story. Now we know about Will Smith and all the struggles he's had the past couple of years at the Oscar, where he slapped
Yes.
Chris Brown.
Chris
Not
Rock.
Chris Brown. He slapped Chris Rock, and he went back and sat down and said, "Don't you put my wife's name?" He did all that. As I was watching that was not the first time I seen Will Smith wild out like that.
Okay.
That's not the first time I seen him do that. Remember, I was telling you about when Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff came to my little hometown, my little country hometown, and performed at the National Guard Armory.
Yes.
And this was 81-ish, 80. This is when they had the song "Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble." And me and my friends, we were not feeling them. And this was a high school party, and they had that one little song out. And I don't know if you ever been to a National Guard Armory party, but the echo and the acoustics in those buildings were just horrible. And the sounds DJ system was terrible. And they came on to perform, and their song only had been out by like a month. And it was on the radio, but we weren't feeling it. And so people in the crowd started throwing stuff on stage at Will, Jazzy Jeff. And Jazzy Jeff still hadn't done the Transformer scratch. He still hadn't. So we didn't know who he was. And Will Smith grabbed the mic and cussed everybody out.
Wow, that's funny.
He was like, I ain't gonna say what he actually said because this is probably a family show, but he did exactly what he did the night at the Oscars.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow,
get out of here.
It was justified because the kids was throwing stuff on stage, and he was like, "Who throw that? Who throw that stuff? Y'all be." He was doing exactly what he was doing the night of the Oscars, and as I was watching the Oscars, I was thinking, this is not the first time I've seen Will Smith do that.
Wow. Man, so it's so many things, because DJing sometimes it's underrated, I think, because I think you have to have DJing is emotional for y'all. I think some of y'all, it's a connection. You get connected to your people. I think some of you really take it serious, and it's it might be underrated when it comes to how spiritually and emotionally connected you get in doing DJing. Would you agree to that? I believe that.
One of the things I try to instill into a lot of DJs is that one, they're baked, and I actually have wrote a guide for it. I haven't published yet, but I when you talked about me mentoring DJs, when I coach DJs or advise DJs, and I observe DJs, and if you're a DJ that you're watching, some DJs are somewhat full of themselves. They think they're a little more than what they are. And some DJs got big egos and that sort of thing, or they think they're not getting paid enough, or they're not getting valued enough. And I've been there. I've been in situations where I felt like I wasn't getting paid enough. But it wasn't until I got really in my 50s that I realized that my focus was all wrong. And so I hopefully, if a young guy's watching this,
yes,
and what turned the corner for me, and one of the reasons why I got my mix show and I got my festivals that I do, and hopefully I'm going to be traveling in the future, and I'm kind of in the lane where I'm loving him, is I realized that there were two lanes of DJing. I got one finger up. There's two lanes of DJing. There are DJs that are service DJs, and then there are DJs that are what I call artists.
Okay.
And I've always unconsciously looked at myself as an artist, meaning that when I DJ, it is my job to attract an audience. When people listen to the radio, I'm trying to build an audience. When people come to the festival, people are coming to see, either me perform or of other people perform. I'm responsible for the audience being not only being entertained, but I'm responsible for them coming. Now, service DJ, he is not necessarily responsible for attracting an audience. So if Crystal, if you're having a anniversary, a birthday party, a wedding, that audience is your audience. Those are your cousins, your friends. When they're coming to the party, they expect a good DJ. They're hoping it's going to be a good DJ, but they're not looking for the DJ to be an attraction. You are the attraction. The person that booked you is the attraction. You as a DJ, you're there to service the crowd that's already existing to be there. And so what used to frustrate me when I was younger and frustrate a lot of DJs, I thought I was a celebrity in every situation. If I was at the wedding, everybody at the wedding was there to see me. When I was at the club, everybody at the club was there to see me. But it's two different mindsets. And so in non-urban situations like the pop DJs, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars when they DJ because they think of themselves as artists. That's why they're producers. That's why they write music. And there's some DJs like DJ Khaled and not just DJ Khaled, but what's the guy's name who brings people out and he has the party, he DJs and he has people pop in. Gosh, I'm just drawing a blank. You know, he's Cassidy,
out there.
is it DJ Cassidy, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about D Nice?
So he's an artistic DJ, you would say. You would call him
artistic. So they are, yes, in Cleve.
Cleve is definitely artistic.
Right.
Yeah.
He's an artist. The crowd, they book him to attract an audience.
Yeah.
And so that's what I learned it late, but that's really the lane that I chose to be. Now I was a wedding DJ and a back to school DJ and a
I'll tell you another one too. DJ Skills. Skills is another
one. Skills is he's an artist. And so DJ Cool, you know what I mean? These are guys who produce music and they are an attraction. And so if a guy wants to be a DJ, he needs to market himself one way or the other.
Yeah, I like that. That's a real good nugget right there. That's a real good nugget. And that's something that, like you said, it took you decades to figure out. So you just bless somebody with that. I'm going to make sure I make a clip out of that and share that because that's powerful right there. You can package that and sell that right there. That right there, you could do a whole workshop on that. You know that? No. That's a good one.
I actually do have content online in which I talk about that. And so if you want to be the homecoming DJ or the concert DJ that opens up for all the comedians or be the DJ at the festivals and stuff like that, then when you promote yourself, you don't need to be promoting yourself that you do high school dances and proms because that's what people are going to think of you.
That's right.
And those are the kind of calls you're going to get. Oh, he did my prom last year. Well, we need to do Hillside prom. We need to do Durham High prom. We need to do Millbrook's prom. You're gonna be the prom guy because that's how you promote yourself.
Yeah.
And so I might do a wedding, but I will never promote myself as a wedding DJ. But I won't post it on the internet or social media or anything like that. But my festivals and parties that get splattered all over the internet.
So you would consider yourself a festival DJ, or how would you describe yourself?
I'm a mixtape guy in my heart, and you can still get my mixtapes. I still make mixtapes. You go to myfavoritedjnc.com, and I don't know if you can put the link in the thing, but myfavoritedjnc.com. I still make mixtapes and jingles and stuff like that.
Okay, so we'll make sure that they get that too. Listen, that is so good. You are so knowledgeable about this, so knowledgeable that I wanted to go into letting you just share a little bit about the digital advancement of DJing and the change in the broadcasting industry. But it's just so good to hear you share these nuggets because it's so good. So the last question I'm going to ask is, what is the legacy you want to leave when it comes to your music? When you stop doing DJing, what is it that you want people to say that have attended an event with you that you provided a service for? What do you want them to say?
Well, I want to leave an experience with them. And lately I haven't been because times are a bit different. There are a lot of people that I've had experiences in the 80s and 90s because those times were different. And
I think that might be true. Both of them. Okay.
and me being on the older side.
So hold on, say that. I may have to clip that.
I said, well, a lot of my memorable moments and memories were experiences when in my younger years, in my 20s and 30s. Now at the age I'm in right now, you know, I can't hang out.
Hang out is really
I'm still here.
tripping.
You can't hear me?
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. I can't
Okay,
hear
that was StreamYard. StreamYard did something. So when I edit this, I'm going to clip that piece out because StreamYard just chopped both of us up right there.
Okay.
So I'm going to edit that question again. When you stop DJing, what legacy do you want to leave? What do you want people to say that have hired you or that have attended an event where you were a DJ? What is the legacy you want to leave behind as a DJ?
Well, I want to leave a lasting memory, much like that memory I had when I saw Curtis Blow DJ. I want people to say, man, I was in Greensboro Coliseum. I was in the Novo Center. I was over at Walnut Creek. I was at Homecoming 2026. I want them to say I was a part of that experience. Not necessarily it was all about me, but they just could say, man, that DJ that was at John Coltrane Jazz Festival, like that. For me to perform at John Coltrane Jazz Festival, to me, it was one of my bucket lists. I mean, that, like I said, that's a pilgrimage of all the jazz performers, top jazz performers in the country come out. And for me to be a part of it as a DJ, that's just, I mean, it just brings tears to my eyes. And so the Dougie Fresh thing that I did with the HBCU band, I was the first to do that. And that kind of memory, you know, and that's why I think there's a future. It's still a future for me. I know you want me to recite all this past, but I just like to leave all that stuff behind. And I like to think I have a future. I want to be the oldest DJ.
Oh, no. I definitely am not saying that you're going to stop, but it is important that we focus on what we want people to say about us, what we want people to say, what our legacy is going to be, you know, because people need to understand whatever you do, you're going to leave a lasting impression. Right. So you need to understand what you want that impression to be. And so that's the reason I asked the question.
I just want to evolve. I just want to, you know, I don't want to just say, you know, I used to be the DJ on the radio. I don't even want to even be that thing.
You want to be the oldest DJ. You want to be 80 years old, still spinning.
Well, right now I am developing a lot of AI stuff. I'm working on some AI mixtapes in which they're going to be here after me, in which I'm going to create a virtual me DJ.
Really?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a minute as we get ready to close this out, because I could go on with you, and I appreciate this time. And again, we appreciate all of you for coming back and doing a replay and catching up and sharing and liking. You know, Travis has done a lot, and he has been out here and affected many different parts of this industry and many different generations. So we wanted to have this conversation with him. But talk to me about how AI is affecting things and how creative DJs can be. Like you just said, you are making a virtual you, and you are making things so that when you stop, they're still there. Talk to me about that. I'm going to spotlight you a moment and give you the opportunity to share, so maybe you can tell other DJs if they are missing out what they need to be doing, because maybe they're not doing it.
Well, of course, you remember during COVID, everything had shut down and people were DJing on Zoom and on YouTube Live, and they still do that today. And people were actually listening to DJs right in their comfort of their own home. And I had a vision that there's going to be a time where a DJ is going to be in a studio somewhere, and he's going to have either some kind of link where a club or bar or restaurant will be able to plug in to him DJing in his own studio, which they are doing now, but it hasn't taken off yet. Like every Friday night, Jazzy Jeff does a Jazzy Jeff house party where you can actually on Friday night in the comfort of your own home, listen to Jazzy Jeff DJ. And there are hundreds of DJs doing that now. And but the challenge with a lot of DJs is, and we discussed this early, is you can't play commercial music online or you run the risk of getting shut off. Well, now you can actually make your own AI music, your own individual music, and play it online, and you won't get cut off. And that hasn't quite taken off yet, but it's coming. And I want to be sort of on the cusp of that, right at the beginning of that. Just much like when I was at the beginning of DJing hip hop, I want to be on the beginning of AI music, and it's going to take off where instead of DJs playing Chris Brown and Dougie Fresh and Biggie and Tupac and Mary J. Blige, DJs would play their own music that they made using AI technology. Looks like I lost you, Crystal.
Oh, you didn't lose me. I'm sorry. You didn't lose me at all. But man, that's powerful. That's powerful.
And so if you go to my website, myfavoritedjnc.com, you'll see dozens of mixtape projects that I've created. I'm not going to play it because I don't want you to get shut off. I can play it on my channel, but on your channel, it might get shut off. But
yeah. So just tell the people the channel that you have so they can go to it and do it. Yeah, don't play it for me, please.
Yeah, it's myfavoritedjnc.com. And I've been experimenting with all types of music, because remember I was in music. I studied music in college. That was my background in college at North Carolina Central. And so writing music and writing jingles and writing production, I've always done that. And I've had opportunities to get recording contracts. It's just that's a whole nother story, but I just didn't like the direction what the music industry was doing.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing all this good stuff. Is there any people that you want to thank that have maybe been instrumental over the years in helping you to be who you are now? I would love to give you the opportunity to do that. And once again, you can remind.
Wow, it's so many people. If I start mentioning the people, I'm gonna forget somebody. But the experience I had in broadcasting, I have to give credit to all the people that I met through my radio career when I was with K97, which was US Radio, and then it was Clear Channel. That's kind of an umbrella. If I say US Radio, then people are going to stand up. If I say Clear Channel Broadcasting, they're going to stand up. If I say Radio One, they're going to stand up. If I say Urban Radio, they're going to stand up. And then Beasley Broadcasting. And then, of course, the people that listen to me today on 90.7 FM. This is a very diverse audience, and they support me on the first Friday, man. And Crystal, I'm telling you, it's all races, all ages, and they let me do my thing, and they let me they let me play that BLS music, that music that I used to listen to when if you came out to the playlist, you will hear "Love Is the Message."
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out for sure. Yeah. And I want to just put back up here a few reminders to you guys about some things that he has coming up. You heard him talk about these events, so you go check him out on his music. Go check him out on at the park. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to share my mixtape. I don't know if it's showing on yours. But this is
it's not going to show. It's not going to show on mine. But make sure that you go check him out on all these things and know that he is the guy that you can book. He's going to come out and he's going to provide a service for you. He is going to get the people out there. He's going to make sure he brings the energy in the room. That is what he does. And we want to thank you so much for sharing that. I am going to make sure I put the links on here. Put the links on here so they could go get the mixtape, and so they can make sure they go to what is your YouTube channel, and how often do you go live?
My YouTube, I really don't do a lot on YouTube. Okay. I do have a lot of content on there, but it's not really my focus.
Okay.
It didn't quite take off like I wanted to, and it's very time consuming. It's like, for instance, your show, you're story time. This is your focus, and I got so many things that I'm doing. It's just I can't really focus on it. If I could focus on it, it would be good. But if they went to my DJ Travis Gales on YouTube, you'll find me. If you do DJ Travis Gales YouTube, you'll find over 300 of my mixes.
I think what you said is true. It is one of the areas that I do focus on, and I have the issue is I have a couple of things that I focus on. So it is a challenge when you have things that you want to focus on. If you want to be laser focused, it is a challenge.
I'm so laser focused on the actual live performances that I really had to back off. But if they go to DJ Travis Gales on YouTube, they will find over 300 mixes that I did, much of during COVID, when we couldn't go out and do anything. It's just I haven't really focused on that right now, but I'm planning to kind of go back and do that in the studio.
Well, you know what? That's good to know, because Travis, I could use that when I'm looking, sometime when I'm walking 3 and 4 miles and I want something to listen to while I'm walking or while I'm exercising. So those are the channels that we need to know. Even though you're not uploading now, we can go back and you can utilize those things. So check them out, y'all. MyFavoriteDJ.com or all platforms.
MyFavoriteDJNC.com is where the mixtapes, you can download a lot of free stuff. But then if you go to my YouTube channel, you can hear me on the radio. You can hear me. You can see me perform on the radio.
Wow. Well, listen. Any final comments you'd like to give the people, Travis, before we get up out of here?
Well, Crystal, one, I want to thank you for inviting me to this. This is one of my bucket lists, because I did want to network with people online that did different types of podcast show. I knew it was, I actually do a little bit of podcasting myself, so maybe I can have you on my show. The other thing, we have a little kindred spirit, because you and I both was honored by the city of Raleigh, by the consortium for 50 years of hip hop, and you and I shared the stage together. And even though we crossed paths a few times over the years, but that was the one thing that we're going to leave our legacy for the city of Raleigh. That's so I was so proud of being a part of that, and I know you're proud as well. And so, and again, I see the future in what you're doing now, and I actually binge watched a lot of your podcasts before on, and you really got a who's who of up and coming people that you just never know where they're going to turn out and who's going to come back to say, hey, Crystal, you gave me that first opportunity. And so I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Definitely. And, I try to go back. And the funny thing is, I'm going to say this, and thank you for that. Yes, I do recognize that we've done some things together. But I remember you from the Bembe days, from the Fan Fest days, from all those days out there, all the things. Because Raleigh, we had a lot of things going on out here, with a lot out here. K97 and Radio 1 has done a lot, over the decades. So I remember all those times, all the different places, from the Ritz to the Trimmers to all the different clubs and all the different places out here. You would see people, and you see some of the same people in the industry, the Louis K's and the Special G's and the Heavy, and I mean so many. We can name so many out here. It's Brian Dawson's and just the list goes on and on and on and on. And then you have the new ones now, like the DJ Assassins and the Skills and the DJ Mosky. I mean, it's just, there's so many DJs, and DJs do make a difference. So make sure you get your good DJ for your event coming up, because there's a lot of them out here. Do your research. You heard what he said. So make sure you know whether it's a service DJ or artistic DJ that you need for your event. All right. And listen, I'm here on Wednesdays. Normally we start at 8. We started a little later today. But you know that when you're going to do this stuff, things are going to happen. Whether it's a live event or online event, technical difficulties happen. It's a part of the process, but you got to be able to keep on going. All right. You got to be able to keep going. You can't stop. And you got to be able to flow with it. You got to be able to flow. So you always got to have something in place so that you can keep the train moving. All right. So and I
think you can go back and edit those parts out for future viewing.
Definitely. Oh, that's already being done. That's what I'm just saying. But still, you still have to have the wherewithal to be able to keep going, not get flustered or frustrated, and flow, so that you can make those connections and make those edits and just create a finished product.
I'm going to enjoy watching this back. I probably binge watch it, you know, at my job, and somebody's gonna tap me on the shoulder and say they saw this, and I'm gonna be happy.
And I'll fix it up. I'll fix it up and make some clips and do some stuff like that. And we appreciate you and thank you for the opportunity. I wish you well. I hope that everything continues to go for you. Guys, if you have a story, remember, story time is here. This is where we connect. Contact me, DM me on Instagram at Shell Crystal. You can hit me up at 919-307-5431. That's 919-307-5431. If you have a story and you want to share it, we all have one. All right. So just own it, walk in it, and believe it, and know that your story will inspire somebody else. It's not your own. I want to say keep hope alive. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. Travis, much love to you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me get my Wakanda pose.
Wakanda forever, y'all. You've been watching Story Time. On that note, see you on the next Story Time. Peace. Thank y'all for watching. I love it. Wakanda forever. Give it to them as they close out. There you have it, y'all. Wakanda forever.
A catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.